lovies. Welcome to Crash the Stash. I don't normally talk, but I thought while I was doing the flip through that I would kind of talk about what I'm going to be doing today, because I have really no idea. But let me get through this. I always have people saying, can you do the flip through again? Make sure you do the flip through. So that's why I always flip through. And yes, my pages do stick together. I try to coat them, but they still inevitably will stick together. Okay, so for today, and this is a Canson mixed media journal. It's 9 by 12. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to use images, items, text, things like that from a magazine. Now this is Flow, and if you've never picked up a Flow magazine, you should, because it is visually inspiring. It is fantastic. But what I'm going to do is a technique that is, it could be considered image transfer or decollaging or ripped paper technique, or all kinds of names for what we're going to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to layer and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer till I just can't layer anymore. And I'm not going to do that all real time, but I wanted to just show you the process really quick, so that you know what I'm doing, and I won't have to show you every single step. I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing, but I'm taking my pages and my papers, and I want to be careful, especially when you're using a magazine, to not use an entire image, because you want to honor the artist that created the image or the author that wrote the story, whatever. So bits and pieces are great, and it's great for this technique as well. So I'm just tearing up a bunch of bits and pieces here, and I'm doing just kind of a base layer, and you'll see I'm going to alternate between kind of a neutral base, then I'm going to add color, same technique, and then I'm going to go back to neutral, and then I'll add some paint over the top of that, and then probably do some more of this same technique until I get what I'm looking for, which I have no idea, which is normally I'll approach my journal for Crash the Stash with an idea in mind most days, but I don't have one, which is always kind of unnerving, especially when you're sharing it to everyone. But it's also super pleasing when things just happen, and that's usually where the magic is. So I've got a bunch of these just bits and pieces torn up, and I might need more. And I've got my matte gel. And the reason that I'm doing the matte gel is because it's different than the fluid matte. This has more it's a more water base. This has got less water in it, so it's thicker, it dries slower, and it keeps the paper from wrinkling as much. I tend to work with the matte medium, the fluid matte medium, because I'm working fast and I'm doing lots of different layers. This is a little bit more of a concentrated effect, and I'm going to grab, seriously, I don't have anything ready, I just turned the camera on, so I'm going to grab my brush here, and I want to just put down some gel medium here, and it's nice and thick. And what's different about this technique than any other time that I put papers down is I'm not going to go back over the top of the papers. I'm going to just lay them down. And I'm sure you all have seen this technique before. And I want to just randomly put bits, and this again is your base layer. Not a whole lot's going to be seen, although there's always wonderful, wonderful surprises that happen. Little words that show up in the weirdest spots, or should I say the perfect spot, and it's just wonderful how it all happens. It's like magic. So I want to do this quickly because I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time by me yakking away. And I'm trying to be, and if I get some gel medium on the other papers, it's okay. It really is okay. And so that's my first layer. And I want to come back with a credit card and just kind of burnish that out, wiping my medium off the back off of my card so that I don't get it on the other papers. See, this requires me to be a little bit neater than I normally am, because normally I'm throwing that medium around like it's a party, which I love. And this is also kind of burnishing that into the medium. And I think the more that you have no plans, sometimes the better things turn out. Okay, now I want to get this a little bit dry. So I'm going to hit this with my heat tool just a tiny bit, just to kind of get it a little bit more dry than it is. And now I want to try and, that's still too wet. Some of the areas might be drier, yeah. Some of it's going to stay, some of it's not going to stay. So what I want to do here is pull up the areas that I feel like are dry. Some of that paper is going to stay, some of it's not. And that is the magic of this. Some of it all will come off, some of it won't. It's just all part of the process and the texture and the layers. And the great thing is you can't duplicate this really any other way. That torn paper effect is just makes me so happy. Alright, so I've peeled this off to the best of my abilities, and I've sanded it down just a little bit, and I'll do that a little bit more. And then I'm going to repeat the process 2 or 3 times until I actually see something that sparks my interest to kind of take that further in my journal page.